coach in Cardinals history. Rebounded from 1-6 a year ago, turned it around to finish 8-8. The 4-game winning streak to start this season before the loss 10 days ago in St. Louis. And today's game is being broadcast in Spanish, where available using the SAP button on your television. Cardinals won the toss. They have deferred to the second half, so the Bills will have the football to start the game. Leotis McKelvin back deep. The return game has been a bright spot for the Buffalo Bills, and McKelvin came in averaging 31.7 yards a return. Both these teams have been outstanding on special teams. Feely boots it away, and we're underway from the 3. McKelvin pushed out of bounds, so 1st and 10. And there is Ryan Fitzpatrick. From this area, 29 years old, Gilbert, Arizona, playing for the first time against the team he rooted for as a kid growing up. Got some home cooking this week as the Bills stayed over, practiced here in Arizona. He's thrown 12 touchdown passes this season, but 5 of his 8 interceptions have come over the last 2 weeks.
And Bills fans will notice right away the Bills wearing blue pants for the first time since 1984.
Jackson with a nice hole on 1st down. And a fumble, and the Cardinals have it. William Gay. A fumble on the first play from scrimmage. And Arizona has a turnover.
Well, it has been a comedy of errors for the Buffalo Bills. You see Freddie Jackson takes the hit from Darrell Washington right on the football. It comes out immediately, and this is what has happened to the Buffalo Bills in the last 3 weeks. One thing has happened, and it has started to snowball. They have not been able to pull themselves out of it. The Cardinals, playing here at home, have been really tough to run the football on and make any headway offensively against. And the Bills start by turning it over right away.
Rod Stevens howling on 1st down. Turnovers have been a problem for the Buffalo Bills. Kevin Cobb had a rough outing 10 days ago in the loss to the Rams. He was sacked 9 times, threw 50 times for 289 yards on the season, 7 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, but he has been sacked a ton over the last 2 weeks.
With Rod Stevens howling in the lineup, the Cardinals have been unable to get any consistent ground game going. Beanie Wells out, Ryan Williams out of the lineup, down to Stevens howling, hoping he can make some progress.
Alfonso Smith has checked in. Cobb throws it incomplete, intended for Jeff King, the tight end. Cardinals offensive line has gotten a lot of criticism for not protecting the passer, especially the 2 tackles. Massey is the rookie, 4th-round pick out of Mississippi. He'll have his hands full today with Mario Williams, the backs and receivers. This week the Cardinals lost Ryan Williams for the season. Beanie Wells is out until late next month, so the Rod Stevens howling was the starter today. He missed the last 2 games with a hip injury.
And his 2 tackles, Batiste and Massey, have really struggled in one-on-one pass protection, and you'd think with the Buffalo Bills front 4 there, this would be a game when you'd see the production Bills fans have been waiting for.
4 receivers in the pattern. It's batted and incomplete. So the Cardinals, after the turnover, will be forced to settle for a field goal try.
It looks like Kyle Williams got a hand on that as the pocket was collapsing right in around Cobb. And this is one of the things I think the Bills will attempt to do. As you see, the pocket stays in and collapses on all 4 sides. They don't want Cobb to be able to escape and extend the play. They want to keep him right on that spot.
Feely boots it through. His long of the season, 49 yards away, 9 of 10 in field goal tries this season, and the Cardinals are on the board. 68th consecutive sellout here at University of Phoenix Stadium as the Cardinals try to extend their home winning streak going back to last season to 8 games. And it's remarkable when you think about it, 5 of those 8 wins came in overtime.
And it's a club that started 1-6 in 2011 and turned it around in a big way and has continued into 2012 with that streak.
Brad Smith will bring it out 5 yards deep. Right up the gut and brought down at the 25-yard line. Well, ball security has been a big issue for the Buffalo Bills. They've turned the ball over now 14 times, 8 interceptions, 6 fumbles. 12 of those turnovers came, Steve, in their 3 losses.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence either. When they turn the football over, it's hard to overcome that. But usually in the turnovers, Ryan Fitzpatrick will get really singled out, throwing interceptions or having tipped passes that end up intercepted. But really, Freddie Jackson has been one of the most dependable guys for the Bills. It's not a good sign to have him cough it up on the first play.
58 points off turnovers, among the worst in the league for Buffalo. C.J. Spiller has checked in. He gets it along the right side, makes the first man miss. So tough to bring down and close to the first down marker. Pushed out of bounds by William Gay. Bills are banged up on the offensive line, down to the second and third team in some spots. Chris Hairston is the backup who starts at left tackle, protecting the blind side. C.J. Spiller, as we just saw, capable of making some nice moves and big plays. If the Bills can get him going, that will open things up for the rest of the Buffalo offense. Brad Smith is at quarterback. They're running the Wildcat. Smith keeps it. Forward progress gets to about the 37-yard line. Darrell Washington made the stop after a pickup of 3.
This is something the Bills have been running even since the preseason, ever since they picked Brad Smith up as an athlete, as a quarterback / wide receiver. They have used him in this regard, and he has been very good. A quarterback out of Missouri, and Chan Gailey has put him in every game this season. They've run a couple of snaps at least of Wildcat.
He can do a lot of things. Running the screen now to Spiller, trying to get him in space. Nice pickup on first down to the 43-yard line, a gain of 7. Arizona's defense has been among the best in the league. Dockett is back, the 3-time Pro Bowler, coming back last week after missing time with a hamstring. They gave Darrell Washington a contract extension prior to the season. They think he's going to be a big-time player for many years to come. And in the secondary, Patrick Peterson, one of the top young corners in the league, matched up today with Stevie Johnson. And that's going to be worth watching. They're at the bottom of the screen. 21 on 13. 2nd and 3 for Buffalo. And that wedged in there to Donald Jones, a strike from Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, this is the Bills offense that loves to spread the football field with a lot of athletes. You see T.J. Graham clearing the area out, Donald Jones coming in right behind him. It creates a lot of space in the secondary, and Ryan Fitzpatrick tries to get the football, and the idea is let him catch the football, break a tackle, and it could turn into a big gain. And it works at times, but it does help move the chains in any event.
Into Arizona territory, 1st and 10. Spiller. Tripped up. O'Brien Schofield taken over as a starter at outside linebacker here in his 3rd season.
Well, Schofield's going to come from here, and nobody's blocked. He's unblocked by design. They just didn't know how fast he was. And if you can run down C.J. Spiller, you know you're pretty quick. Catches him in about 5 strides before Spiller can get into his full speed. This defense for Arizona is a little undersized, but very fast.
Jackson and Spiller both in the backfield. Now Spiller goes in motion. From the gun, they keep it on the ground. Jackson picks his way down inside the 45, down to the 44. Darrell Washington made the stop after a gain of 4.
I think that's one of the things you mentioned, Spiller and Jackson on the field at the same time. I think Chan Gailey was planning on having that be a bigger part of his offense this year, but because of injuries and the timing of the injuries, those 2 players haven't been healthy at the same time.
Jackson and Spiller held to just 53 total yards on 16 combined carries last week against San Francisco. 3rd and 6. The Bills trying to keep this drive going. Cardinals showing blitz, and here they come. Fitzpatrick lofts it for Jones, incomplete. Fighting Patrick Peterson up the sideline. And that'll bring up 4th down.
You know, Peterson is such a gifted athlete. Jones gets a good release, but Peterson, as you see there, those guys trying to hold each other off. Donald Jones can't run as fast as he wants to while he's trying to hold Patrick Peterson off. That ball could have been completed if Jones wouldn't have been so worried about Peterson staying with him. Peterson, as you watch him return this punt, you'll never see a more exciting guy do it.
Dangerous, set an NFL record with 4 returns for touchdowns last year as a rookie. Pretends to catch it. It takes a bounce and is down at about the 12. A 31-yard punt. Kevin Cobb and company ready to go to work.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Charles Schwab. Let's talk about giving your portfolio a better chance to grow. Talk to Chuck. And by Toyota Care. Caring for you and your car.
Back in Arizona, the Cardinals have been a passing team by a margin of 3-1 over the last 2 weeks since Beanie Wells went down. Take a look, 98 attempts in the last couple of weeks and only 73 total yards rushing. Rod Stevens-Howling is back in the game. First and 10 from the Arizona 13. Stevens-Howling has to make a move. Fights his way back close to the line of scrimmage. Buffalo's defense much maligned after their performances in recent weeks. Mario Williams was brought in to provide some pressure off the edge, but only 1.5 sacks through 5 games. Change for the Bills at linebacker. The rookie Nigel Bradham starts today at the Sam, and the secondary has given up a ton of big plays. Stephon Gilmore, the first-round pick, 10th overall out of South Carolina, starts today at one of the corners again. 2nd and 11 after a loss of 1. Cobb from the gun. That's it. Doucette. Flag is down. Short gain.
It looks like it's going to be a block in the back or a hold against the offense.
Al Riveron, our referee.
El número 12 de la ofensiva aguantó ilegalmente. Mitad al gol. Segundo down.
Making the first call today in Spanish in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. So they spotted back at the 6.
A little disconcerted, wondering what was going on with the fans. At first they didn't get it, and then they kind of did understand it.
2nd and 17 after the penalty. Arizona leads it 3-0. Early field goal and a safety. Chris Kelsey.
Well, we said it a moment ago in the first series as Kyle Williams batted down a pass from Cobb. The defensive line of the Bills looks as though they are rushing straight ahead, 4 men up, nothing exotic. 4 guys straight at Cobb, and the pocket just collapses. They keep him in the pocket. He has nowhere to step, nowhere to run, and it ends up in a safety.
So the Bills are on the board. 3-2, bottom of the 3rd. Chris Kelsey with the safety got the start today at defensive end. Steve, with Mark Anderson out.
Well, you see the 4 defensive linemen are going to rush straight ahead. Now Kyle Williams right here will take a little bit of an outside charge, but this is a pocket that just collapses. Now, one thing that the Bills have that the teams that the Cardinals have faced in the last 2 weeks have not is 2 really good inside rushers, Marcel Darius and Kyle Williams. That is really going to limit where Cobb can step up into the pocket and let Mario Williams and Kelsey get in from the edges even better.
Castroville punts it to McKelvin. Has some running room. And finally pushed out of bounds near midfield by the punter Zastadil.
See the offensive line looking at some X's and O's trying to get it, but it's basically once in a while you'll see those 2 tackles, Massey and Batiste. They'll just get beat physically one-on-one. They are really susceptible, have been, to speed rushes off the edge. And with the addition of the 2 big tackles for the Bills inside, Cobb can't avoid that rush.
After the 33-yard return, Buffalo has it in Arizona territory. Jackson. Stiff arm, bounces it to the outside. And down inside the 45, close to the 43. Jamel Fleming pushed him out of bounds after a gain of 6.
Well, Freddie Jackson coming out with a little trifecta stiff arm. 3 different guys shuddered as he stuck his hand in their face. I've seen it with Freddie Jackson during his career. He's got a taser gun of a stiff arm, and he used it. 3 separate guys felt it on that play.
Jackson again. Got a yard short of the first down. Darrell Washington tripped him up.
And you see the last 2 games, not much going on for the Buffalo Bills in the running game. Now, they had a 21-7 lead on New England 2 weeks ago, but last week, this is a club that struggled against the 49ers. Turnovers have been an enormous part of why those guys haven't been productive, but it's also been some problems in their schematics and getting beat up front.
3rd and 2. They keep it on the ground. First down and more for Jackson. A gain of 6. Paris Lennon made the stop. Fresh set of downs for the Bills.
And although this is a very fast Arizona defense, you're going to watch as the offensive line double teams right there and just gets a good push on Calais Campbell. They double team the big defensive end for the Cardinals and force those linebackers to catch Freddie Jackson at an angle that he drags them forward for a couple of yards.
Jackson staying with the running game. Down to the 33. Fred Jackson just 58 yards on 22 carries since coming back from the sprained knee that forced him to miss 2 games. It says the knee has gotten stronger over the last couple of weeks, and he's running with more confidence.
And even though the Bills have 2 replacement players, Chad Reinhardt and Chris Hairston, in their offensive line, those 2 players have played a lot of football over the last 2 years for the Bills, and they don't think there's much drop-off in their play. They feel good about their offensive line.
2nd and 9. Pick up the blitz. Fitzpatrick slides down. Ryan Fitzpatrick back home here in the Phoenix area. Went to nearby Highland High School where he was all-state, left with 12 school records. Grew up watching the Cardinals with Jake Plummer at quarterback when they used to play their games over at Sun Devil Stadium. Says it's been great being home this week, sleeping in his old bed, enjoying some of Mom's mac and cheese.
Yeah, I had some of his teammates over to the house, and he said it's really weird because he's never in town at this time of year, and it's been fun.
3rd and 5. Fitzpatrick with time and a first down to Stevie Johnson. Bills leading receiver, 21 catches for 234 yards and 3 touchdowns coming in. Adrian Wilson pushed him out after a gain of 6 and a first down. But Ryan told us he thinks Stevie Johnson is due to have a breakout game.
Well, this is a great job by the coaching staff for the Bills. They get Chandler, the tight end, matched up one-on-one with Patrick Peterson. And they leave the safety on Stevie Johnson. So because of formation and motion, they got the Cardinal defense with the wrong defenders and mismatched on both defenders.
Jackson wrapped up and brought down hard. Kerry Rhodes, the free safety, made the stop. Here's Ryan. Back in the day, Gilbert High School, All-State. Set all those school records. Graduated in the top 1% of his class. Also played basketball and ran track. And, of course, from Arizona, headed to Harvard. 2nd and 9. The Bills on the move. Short drop. Fitzpatrick behind Johnson and incomplete.
Yeah, and that was just an inaccurate throw by Fitzpatrick. Stevie Johnson got about as much separation as you can get on a slant. That's wide open on a quick slant, and you see there the ball is just way behind him. And that ball came out of there a little late. If he could have gotten rid of it a little faster, it would have been a completion. But because he was in the shotgun, he has to wait for the ball to be snapped back to him, and it takes just that much longer to release it.
Buffalo 2 of 3 in third down conversions so far, facing 3rd and 9. Fitzpatrick, lots of time again. They go back to the slant to Johnson, and another first down. Peterson made the stop.
There's so many guys like Patrick Peterson, who's so physically gifted, and he watches Stevie Johnson comes out, and Peterson said, you know, he does a lot of that wide stem slant, and that's exactly what that was. Stevie Johnson is the most patient wide receiver I've seen in the National Football League. Because he's not so physically gifted and can outrun people, he's learned to run incredibly precise routes and get separation in tight spaces.
Matched up with Peterson, 1st and goal. The draw, Spiller, C.J. Spiller, touchdown.
When C.J. Spiller was drafted by the Bills, a lot of people raised their eyebrows wondering why they made that pick. And over the course of his career, slowly but surely, it has become more and more common for people to expect this kind of run out of him.
Led the NFL in rushing after the first 2 weeks of the season. Came in here still leading the NFL with a 7.6 yards per carry average. Lindell on to try the extra point. He's got it. 3:35 left to go in the first. The Buffalo Bills in the end zone. C.J. Spiller from 10 yards out.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pizza Hut's Big Dinner Box. All your favorites in one epic box. Pizza Hut. Make it great. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
An impressive drive from the Buffalo Bills against a good Arizona defense. 10 plays, 49 yards. C.J. Spiller brings it into the end zone. Bills establishing the run. 12 plays on the ground, 6 passes.
It was all started by the safety and the good field position. After that, by the return from Leotis McKelvin.
William Powell back deep. And he'll take a knee. He'll bring it out to the 20. Well, the Cardinals would love to get Larry Fitzgerald involved. He'll get a chance when the Cardinals take over when we come back. The Cardinals have run only 5 plays from scrimmage, negative yardage with 3:35 left to go in the first. Take over 1st and 10 from their own 20. William Powell. Powell picks up a yard, will join the NFL and the American Cancer Society in the fight against breast cancer by supporting the A Crucial Catch campaign. Visit NFL.com/auction to bid on authentic NFL pink gear worn by players and coaches. Campaign going on all month. Rod Stevens howling has checked back in the backfield for the Cardinals. Keep it on the ground, tries to cut back. And squirms his way forward, close to the 24, good for 3 yards.
This is where it's going to be critical in the 3rd and 6. The Cardinals have got to find a way to get the ball out of Cobb's hands. He's dropped back twice, been sacked 2 times in a row, and the times he's dropped back, play action is not going to be a factor in this situation. So I think out of shotgun, there's no question the Bills are going to try and get to Cobb, and it's something for the Arizona coaching staff and the players to keep Cobb on his feet and get this ball out of his hands and try and stay on the football field.
Stevens howling in the backfield with Cobb on 3rd and 6 for Arizona. Here they come on the blitz, up the sideline, and that is caught by Floyd. Michael Floyd, the rookie out of Notre Dame. 24 yards and a big play for the Cardinals.
The Buffalo Bills are bringing a lot of pressure trying to get to Cobb in a big hurry, and they just can't get home as Cobb takes one step back. You see a six-man rush. He just lofts it up. Floyd does a great job staying away from the sideline up the field so that Cobb can throw it out away from the defender there. Williams and Floyd can go and get it. That's a well-executed pass by Cobb.
First and 10. Stevens howling. Brought down short of midfield. Nigel Bradham, the rookie linebacker, starting today on the strong side, made the tackle.
Yeah, he's a big, tall, 6'3" guy who they've been bringing along slowly. Had a good camp. He's out there because physically he can run and hit. He's big, he's fast, but they've been working him in slowly to make sure he doesn't make mental mistakes when he's on the field.
Fourth-round pick out of Florida State. Stevens howling. Late flag. Howling fights to get back to the line of scrimmage. Justin Rogers, the nickelback, made the tackle.
One of the things, Mario Williams has been getting a lot of criticism for not having been produced, but on this play, he's going to draw a holding penalty.
Holding number 45, offense. A penalty is declined. Third down.
And as he comes across to try and get into the play, they're doing everything they can to keep him from being able to do that.
Reagan Mauia, the fullback, called for the hold.
He gets some penetration. Couldn't get his arm out. Mauia hauling him to the ground.
So 3rd and 9 for Arizona. Nearing the end of the first quarter. From the gun, Cobb. Under pressure and sacked again. Mario Williams. And the Bills' pass rush is getting well in a hurry.
And that was just a speed rush. Both tackles got beat very quickly. Watch Williams just bull rushes Massey and gets right into Cobb. Kyle Williams from the inside comes as well on the tackle. But Mario Williams just runs right over Bobby Massey to get right to Cobb.
2.5 sacks now from Mario Williams. As we have reached the end of the first quarter, we'll return to Glendale, Arizona after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. Continue for the Arizona Cardinals, so they'll have to punt it away. Leotis McKelvin had a return for a touchdown called back last week against the 49ers. Returned 188 yards for a touchdown in week 2 against Kansas City. Lets that one go into the end zone for a touchback, a 61-yard punt. And let's take a look at this week's edition of the Task Force.
Well, it's no secret. Watch as you see the end rushers coming on Bobby Massey. Chris Long of the St. Louis Rams takes 2.2 seconds to get home. And then on the other side, DeAnthony Batiste, it's 2.04 seconds. So you can say what you want about the quarterbacks hanging onto the football too long once in a while. Not in that case, and certainly not here today. Kevin Cobb has not had an opportunity to step up in the pocket and let any routes develop.
The Bills drove it down the field the last time they had the football. Chandler in motion. Spiller. No running room on the right side.
C.J. Spiller, a guy who came into the league as a high first-round draft pick and is physically gifted enough to warrant that. He's got great instincts. Had a few things to learn when he got into the league about not being able to outrun everybody, but over the last few years of his career, he has really turned into more than a solid running back. He's a guy that this club really depends on in their running game and their passing game.
Spiller with Jackson now. On second down, Johnson. Over his head, covered by Patrick Peterson.
Johnson got open and Fitzpatrick sailed that over his head. Watch coming in from the right-hand side of your screen. Fitzpatrick has time to step in, and that ball is just too high. down on his body. That is a reception.
Third and long for Buffalo. They lead it 9-3 here early in the second. Fred Jackson in the backfield. Checking the call. Stays in the block. And that was almost picked off. Intended for Stevie Johnson, but William Gay had a shot at it.
And the Cardinals brought a lot of pressure. It was man-to-man coverage all over the field. Tried to fit it in, but this was behind Stevie Johnson as well. And right through the hands of William Gay. Stevie Johnson was open. That ball had to be to the sideline, and Fitzpatrick once again threw that ball behind him.
Sean Powell, the rookie who took over for Brian Moorman after week 3, punts it away. Peterson retreats to the 20. A flag is down. And we'll check the marker.
Well, that punt had touchdown written all over it. A long, low punt that didn't stay in the air very long, punting it to Patrick Peterson. The Bills did a nice job rallying to put the stop down, but they got a penalty at the point where Peterson picked the football up.
During the return, holding number 39 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, timeout.
They call that on James Sanders. So timeout on the field. The Bills lead it 9-3 here in Arizona. The Cardinals have had 10 days off since suffering their first loss of the season a week ago last Thursday night. So today trying to rebound and prove that 4-0 start was no fluke. The Bills trying to rectify a number of issues, but they came in only one game back in the AFC East. Play action. Cobb has time. Up top. Reed incomplete. Intended for Andre Roberts.
They guarded there by Terrence McGee, the veteran. As he comes out, McGee turns his hips and then starts to run, plays it perfectly. And that's well defended. McGee getting into the lineup more and more. Had a knee injury that kept him out of the preseason. And more they're starting to rely on him. Needs some experience back there. There's been some mistakes in the back end of the Bills defense, but McGee should steady them.
Andre Roberts, who's really solidified his spot as Arizona's second receiver after Larry Fitzgerald. Stevens howling. Not much running room. Kelvin Shepard made the stop after a gain of 2.
And there you see, these are the most sacks allowed in the NFL by offensive linemen, and the two worst are the 2 tackles for Arizona by a wide margin. And of course now the Arizona Cardinals once again face a 3rd and 8 where they're going to have to drop back and throw it and put the pressure on those tackles once again.
The Cardinals with just 16 total yards. They trail 9-3 early in the second. 3rd and 8 for Arizona. Cobb on the move. Keeps his feet and finally flings it away. Mario Williams again with pressure.
And for the Cardinals, this has been all too common. Kevin Cobb dropping back, and we've been talking about how the Bills' defensive line is going to try and keep him where he's at. And you see there as Cobb just starts to take off running Williams. Well, you see there he had him. He had to let go of the horse collar tackle. Otherwise, Mario Williams would have had a sack right there. Does a good job not drawing the penalty and letting Cobb go and get rid of it.
And again, the Bills defense forces the punt. McKelvin. Finally pushed out of bounds near the 25. A 56-yard punt and a 9-yard return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Audi. Truth in engineering. The Samsung Galaxy S3. The next big thing is already here. And by Bridgestone. Our passion for performance knows no bounds. Bridgestone, official tire of the NFL.
It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and the Cardinals' Nick Eason visited the American Cancer Society Hope Lodge here in Phoenix on Tuesday. A little over 2 months ago, Nick lost his mother, Iris Wilcox, nearly 4 years after she was originally diagnosed with breast cancer. Of course, Larry Fitzgerald is very involved in the NFL's breast cancer awareness campaign. His mother, Carol, died of breast cancer back in 2003. He's been a spokesman for A Crucial Catch. He donated $50,000 to breast cancer research over the last 2 seasons, and this year is donating $1,000 for each catch and $5,000 for every touchdown he scores during the month of October.
You saw there Larry Fitzgerald with his mom's name inscribed on the side of his shoe.
On first down, Jackson trying to find some running room. Brought down at the 29 by Darrell Washington, a gain of 4.
You see, that's Larry Fitzgerald's left shoe, and his right is the same.
Mom passed away of breast cancer, as we said, in 2003.
He's one of the all-time great wide receivers and also one of the all-time great guys in the NFL. He is aware of things that it's amazing to talk to him about how much he knows about what's going on around the NFL, and he's a fun guy.
They run the screen, and wow! Jackson got clobbered by Adrian Wilson, who was not fooled.
Oh, Chad Reinhardt, one of the reserve linemen, just couldn't get to Wilson, and you heard the result. As the pass flutters, you see Chad Reinhardt trying to get to Adrian Wilson, but he read it, diagnosed it too quickly, and Freddie Jackson got hit in the face because of it.
3rd and 12. 94! And the Bills are going to take a timeout. 11:06 left to go in this opening half. Buffalo leads 9-3. The leader of this Arizona defense celebrated his 33rd birthday on Friday. Made a big play there because there was lots of running room if he wasn't there to make the stop. So 3rd and 12 for the Bills. Arizona defense looking for another 3 and out, and they'll get it. Washington with the stop on C.J. Spiller.
The Cardinals did a great job of fooling Ryan Fitzpatrick before the snap happened. They looked like they were bringing pressure, and then at the very last minute, you see the signals. They back out, send just a 3-man rush, and that's death against a screen pass. Too many guys can see it develop. Not enough guys are rushing the passer to make it effective, and the Cardinals fool Ryan Fitzpatrick into throwing a bad play.
Short punt. And Peterson lets it go out of bounds. Kevin Cobb ready to go back to work. Get live score updates for all your favorite teams with the new CBS Sportcaster app. Available on select devices. Visit cbssports.com/mobile or text SCORE to 42777 to get the free app.
This 3rd down so crucial. There you see Darrell Washington and the linebacking core really fooled the Bills offense into running the play they had called instead of checking out of it, and they got the big 3 and out that led to this possession.
Arizona offense with 24 yards on the pass play to Michael Floyd. The other 13 plays have netted negative yardage, and there's nothing there on first down. Jarris Byrd with a stop on Powell.
Well, this is what the kind of day that Kevin Cobb has had. Started out with a safety, and then Mario Williams getting right in along with Kyle Williams, and then starting to run for his life away from the pressure. And this is becoming all too common, this little statistical line here. 2 sacks, 5 hurries, and getting knocked down 4 times.
Powell is in the backfield. He led the NFL in rushing in the preseason. Cobb, center of the field. That's caught by King. Came in with 6 catches for 49 yards. Tried to stretch to get the first down, but he's going to be a yard short. Jarris Byrd made the stop once again.
And then you just saw Jarris Byrd in the backfield making the tackle in the run game, and this is what you need your safeties to be able to do. Pass cover, tackle, and also rush the passer and get involved in the run game. Jarris Byrd doing it all on this drive.
He came in as the Bills' second leading tackler at free safety. So 3rd and 2 for Arizona. Trying to get something going on offense. The out route, that is going to be short of the first down. Roberts with the catch. Justin Rogers dropped him right away.
It's going to be very close. They may have to measure this. Right. Looking against. I don't think he got there. It looked from up here that he was well short of the first down, but the further the official walked towards the center of the field, the further up the field he went past the first down yard marker. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a challenge. If they indeed give them the first down, I wouldn't be surprised if Chan Gailey and the head coaching staff ask for a challenge the spot. They can do that in this regard if it's close to a first down. That's short. Nope. They gave it. Oh, that looks short from here. On that picture, it looks short of the first down to me.
Let's take another look.
See there's, and that looks to me like shy of the 43-yard line, and they mark it right at the 43-yard line. And there you go. There's the challenge. And I agree with it. I don't think he got that. Now it's going to be. The crucial question is there going to be a camera angle and a look that gives them conclusive evidence to the contrary of the call on the field?
Buffalo is challenging the ruling on the field as to where the ball was spotted. Timeout.
So the Bills will challenge the spot. Will step away. 8:50 left to go in the second.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Volkswagen. It's not the miles, it's how you live them. And by City Private Pass. Get more access with a City card.
We're back and waiting for the verdict on the challenge. Ball on the field is it was enough for a first down.
Well, you can see he's got the ball there. That is the line right there. Well, nice line. I'm sorry about that, but he doesn't get any further than that, and that's why, from our vantage point of
the ruling on the field stands. Buffalo will be charged with their second timeout, and that is also their first challenge.
Good challenge.
I still would have challenged it. Both you and I thought here in the booth he looked like he was short of the line. It looked like a bad spot, and I think it did to Chan Gailey as well, but you're not going to get a much better view of that unless you're right on the line. So it was a difficult call to overturn, you knew from the get-go, but I still would have challenged it on the chance, because that third down and chance to get the football back is huge.
So 1st and 10 for Arizona from their own 43-yard line. They trail 9-3. Barnett made the stop. Kim Wisenhunt told us he's a guy, William Powell, who has great instincts and has earned a chance to show what he can do. Getting it now with Beanie Wells and Ryan Williams out. Powell, who led the NFL in rushing in the preseason.
Yeah, everybody who talked about him with the Cardinals said he's really an instinctive runner. You get the feeling they were all a little bit excited about getting him the chance to play to see what he could do in a real game, because they've really been impressed with his abilities.
2nd and 8, Larry Fitzgerald without a catch today. Cobb with time. Finally gets rid of it. Hausler, the tight end, about 3 yards short of a first down.
What a tremendous catch, though, with his left hand reaching out, spearing this ball to bring it in. Cobb has plenty of time on this pass attempt. Stands in, gets rid of it, and look at him spear that football and bring it in. Great catch.
Hausler, a big guy, 6'5", with 4.55 speed. They really like what he can do matched up with a linebacker. Call it a gain of 6. It'll be 3rd and 2. Cobb from the gun. Steps up. Gets rid of it. Larry Fitzgerald. First down, Arizona, 17 yards. Wilson made the tackle.
And that's what we've talked about as Cobb stepped up into a pocket, had space to extend the play and help his offensive lineman out as he steps away from the pressure and keeps the play alive. It looked like he was going to run for a moment for the first down, but of course, Larry Fitzgerald is always a better option for the quarterback, and Cobb guns it right into the stomach for the first down.
Up-tempo offense for Arizona. From the 32, play action. Cobb into the flat. Jeff King fights his way for 1.5 yards. Shepard made the stop. King loses his hat.
Arizona going to the no huddle there to change the tempo, and then also going to quick passing plays. Mike Miller, the offensive coordinator, I spoke to him today a couple of times actually, and they were very wary of this Bills defense. They knew that the Bills they saw against, or they felt against the Bills defense they saw against the 49ers would not be the defense they faced today.
High formation. Powell puts it back inside. And a nice run by William Powell.
Well, the Cardinals set the edge and pull both guards and the fullback out in front of Powell, and it works to perfection as they get too many bodies out for the Bills to defend. Watch, the guards and the center all pull to the left side, and they catch the Bills, outflank them on that side, and give Powell the corner of the defense.
17 yards on the run by Powell, and the Cardinals are threatening. Down inside the 15. Powell again. Battles down to the 9. Stephon Gilmore made the stop. William Powell rushed the ball only 23 times in his 2 seasons at K-State. Undrafted, released twice by Arizona before getting signed to the practice squad toward the end of last season. Coming into today, he had just 3 carries in the National Football League in the regular season. But as we've mentioned, led the NFL in rushing in the preseason. 2nd and 5. Powell 5 carries, 24 yards. Cobb throws it. Fitzgerald, touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, we said a moment ago that the Bills got the defenders for the Cardinals on the wrong people, and the Cardinals turned the tables. Nick Barnett trying to cover Larry Fitzgerald down inside the 20-yard line is just not going to happen. Fitzgerald patient on his route. Barnett right here ends up catching him as he comes across, and he just cannot keep up. And that is a mismatch.
Feely with the extra point. And the Cardinals take the lead with 4:47 left to go in the half on the touchdown reception by number 11. Came in needing just 48 yards to join Randy Moss as the only players to reach 10,000 before their 30th birthday, and he's halfway there.
Yeah, the NFL these days offensively is all about getting the wrong defender on the right receiver, the guy you're trying to throw the football to. And with shifts and motions and personnel packages, they do all they can to confuse the defense even before the ball is snapped.
Kelvin and Smith back deep, a hooch kick. Covered by one of the up men. Smith, and let's take another look at the touchdown.
Watch as Larry Fitzgerald's going to come out, and they run motion past him, and Barnett's going to try and pick him up. And he just crosses with the tight end. The Cardinals felt that's who was going to be guarding him. They were right. Cobb had enough time to get it to him.
And it was a game against Buffalo where Larry Fitzgerald was held without a catch for the only time in his career. It happened back in 2004, and he says it still irks him. First and 10 for Buffalo. Spiller spun down at the 30. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from this busy Week 6. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Second and 7. Just over 4 minutes left in the half. Cardinals lead it now, 10-9. Spiller. Right across the 35, Brian Schofield made the stop.
The Bills still continuing to work the running game. I think they really felt they could, with the people up front in their offensive line, even with 2 reserve offensive linemen starting today, they felt bigger and more physical than the front of the Cardinals, and I think they're showing it by running the football a lot on first and second down. And as of up until the last series, they had not faced a 3rd and long with that philosophy, so you can bet they're going to stick with it.
3rd and 2. Fitzpatrick. Incomplete. Trying to hit Scott Chandler, the tight end.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick would have been better off running for this first down. He probably could have gotten it. As you see Chandler come out of the slot, he's going to run the out and then plant his foot. Fitzpatrick, and I'll tell you what, I don't think Fitzpatrick could have gotten it running. He was covered up.
Kerry Rhodes had good coverage on Chandler, the talented tight end who came in as the Bills' 2nd leading receiver. So again, we'll see the rookie Sean Powell punting away to Patrick Peterson. Peterson, nowhere to go. Told us he hates to fair catch.
It's interesting there as McKelvin tackles Peterson. When we talked to Chan Gailey, he said whichever 21 wins is going to be important.
It was a 49-yard punt and no return. McKelvin down there making sure that Peterson does not increase his stats.
Well, he's not going to fair catch it. If you catch it on a play like that, you're just never going to do it. You have to have. I can't overstate how much confidence a player has to have to catch a punt like that in that situation.
Powell is in the backfield, 5 carries, 24 yards. Gets the toss. Swarmed under near the 16. Kyle Williams was the first one there. Williams, the 2-time Pro Bowler, missed some time in practice this week with a bad ankle. The 7th year out of LSU, former 5th-round pick.
The Cardinals now starting to do some damage on the edges of the Bills' defense, trying to get the edges and run that defense sideline to sideline to find some gaps for Powell.
2nd and 8. Powell again fighting his way near the marker. Jarris Byrd finally was able to drop him.
Now this is the frustrating thing for defensive coordinators, in particular Dave Wannstedt. Missed tackles. Kelsey has got a chance there, not a good one, but right there you see the missed tackle. I believe it might have been Brad. I'm not sure which linebacker missed the tackle, but if you're missing tackles, it doesn't matter what defense is called.
Dave Wannstedt, who's taken some heat as the Bills' defensive coordinator. Now, 7 carries, 35 yards, 2 minutes left in the half. Cardinals with all 3 of their timeouts remaining, and they have taken the lead in total yardage with 80 here in the 2nd quarter. Buffalo only 4 since they picked up 84 and had the lead in the 1st quarter. First and 10 from the 25. Cobb, they run the slant, incomplete. Larry Fitzgerald, the intended receiver, but 2 receivers in the area.
You see there a result of the pressure problems Arizona's had. Watch how fast Cobb gets rid of this one. couple of hops, and he throws this one right over the top of Larry Fitzgerald. I think that's a misread. I think that's a missed route by both those receivers. Doucette and Fitzgerald were right next to each other, and you never have that in a pass route.
Doucette is in motion. 2nd and 10. Cobb with time up the sideline for Larry Fitzgerald. He makes a brilliant one-handed catch, but it won't count.
That's one of the best pass incompletes you'll ever see.
And he took the rookie Stephon Gilmore to school.
Well, Gilmore's in the right spot. It takes a tremendous throw and catch. Well, the catch was better than the throw, I'll tell you that. Wow. And it was like, yeah, he was just, somebody tossed him his car keys, I mean, it's like, thanks. It's unbelievable.
So 3rd and 10 for Arizona. 1:52 left to go in the half. Fitzgerald in motion. Cobb. Powell on the screen. And he's going to be a couple of yards short of the first down. Jarris Byrd again on the tackle.
Now they're going to stop the clock. It looks like the Bills will take a timeout to give themselves some more time.
And don't forget, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from this Week 6. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. 4th and 2. Better showing today from this Buffalo defense. Jastadil already has a 61-yard punt. And they fake it. Rashad Johnson on the trick play and a first down for the Arizona Cardinals.
Perfectly executed as the Bills were going to set up to try and get a return. It's going to go right to the up back, and Ravel Martin gets grabbed and held just enough to get the edge for Johnson. The Bills totally looking for the punt, waiting on to set up a return to McKelvin and let the fake punt go.
24 yards, and the Cardinals are back in business. The delay to Stevens howling. Picks up 1.
And the Bills' last few minutes of the first half have been a real problem for Buffalo, particularly last week.
Continues to run. And that was intended for Larry Fitzgerald, and Gilmore had great coverage and almost an interception.
I don't think Gilmore could believe that ball went right by Larry Fitzgerald. Gilmore's going to be out in front of him. Yeah, that was way out in front of him, and that he just couldn't spare it. He thought he should have had it and probably should have. Kelsey bull rushing, gets right on Cobb for a hit, and Cobb still continuing to know he's got to get rid of the football on time or he's going to have problems.
Third and 9. Cobb again under pressure. Mario Williams was bringing him down, and they call incomplete.
Yeah, they're not going to call intentional grounding, even though Cobb looked like he was falling down, throwing it sideways. He's outside the tackle. If he gets to the hash mark, he's outside the tackle pockets, and well, that's a hairline call. That could have been called because he was just barely, and right there you'd think the whistle would be blown dead, but the official's not seeing it that way.
So Arizona unable to take advantage of the big play on the fake punt. They boot it away. And it bounces into the end zone for a touchback. A 42-yard punt by Jastadil. Tomorrow on CBS, two broke girls are making their dreams come true on an all-new episode of the hit comedy Two Broke Girls. That's tomorrow only CBS.
There you see
54 seconds left, Steve, for the Buffalo Bills.
they haven't scored points in the last 2 minutes of either half all season. And the only team that can say that this season. It's an uphill battle here, 80 yards in 54 seconds and no timeouts.
Empty backfield. Cardinals come on the blitz, able to complete the slant to Jackson. Timeout called. That was good for 8.
St. Louis.
This is their first. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Arizona not liking the defensive personnel they had on the field at that moment, and the Bills going no huddle. Arizona decided they needed to talk it over and make sure they had the personnel package on the field that they wanted. The Bills got them on first down with the wrong people on the field, and then to go no huddle was going to stop the Cardinals from rectifying that. So Whisenhunt wisely calls a timeout to change it.
Lindell, veteran kicker who's had only 2 field goal tries.
Hey, Spinner 94!
Made them both. Second
49.
all-time leading scorer in Bills history.
49.
So
49.
second and 2.
Laser.
48 seconds left to play in the half. Fitzpatrick to Chandler, who's been fairly quiet today. Gain of 4 and first down.
Still working the middle of the field. Knowing they're thinking field goal right here. Otherwise they'd be going to the sidelines and taking bigger chunks of yardage.
Inside of 30 seconds, the screen to Jackson. Gets out close to the 40. Spotted at the 39, a gain of 7. Jamel Fleming made the tackle and up in a hurry. Fitzpatrick stops the clock with 11 seconds left to go in the half.
Well, that's a maximum of 2 full plays. Without even if the clock stops between.
It's been a while since he's tried one of 50 plus. Back in 2010 against Kansas City. Third and 3. Fitzpatrick. And down he goes. O'Brien Schofield with the sack. 3 seconds left in the half.
And that is it.
So that's the end of the first half, and we'll be back with the Verizon Halftime Report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. Ready to start the third quarter in Arizona. The Cardinals lead at 10-9. Bill McAtee back with Steve Tasker. Close ball game. The bad news for the Bills is the second half has not been very kind to them in recent weeks.
Yeah, in the last couple of games, they've been outscored at over 90 to less than 20. I mean, this is a time of the game when they have really let the games snowball against them. You have the 12 drives they faced in the last 2 games in the second half. They've only forced a team to punt once, and the other 11 times, 10 of those 11, they were touchdowns, and they forced 1 field goal. This has really turned south in the second half of these last couple of games.
Time now for the Droid Razor in play, presented by Motorola. And the safety by the Buffalo Bills as Chris Kelsey sacked Kevin Cobb to put Buffalo on the board early. And the numbers, not much offense in the first half, just 127 total yards for Arizona, 102 for Buffalo.
Yes, and that is reflected in the scoreboard. It's a 1-point game. I think adjustments made at halftime are crucial. We spoke to Chan Gailey about the second half they've been facing. He said, listen, this is the same routine that we've used last year when we had a bunch of come-from-behind wins in the second half. It's the same routine. They've analyzed everything they've done at halftime. We'll see if they can turn it around and do a better job the second half here against the Cardinals.
Cardinals won the toss. They deferred to the second half, so Howell brings it out. Out across the 25, close to the 27-yard line. The Bills defense has prevented a score only once in the second half. In their last two games coming into today, it was the opening second half drive 2 weeks ago against the Patriots. Buffalo stopped New England on third down and forced a punt. That was, again, the good news. The bad news is that the Patriots scored touchdowns on 6 consecutive drives.
And I don't think this defense has really recovered from that.
Just underway in the second half. Larod Stevens howling. Been out the last 2 games with a hip injury. Normally a back that Arizona likes to use on third down, and whenever they're trying to open things up. He was the starter today. George Wilson, the strong safety, made the tackle.
Yeah, this Bills defense, there's no question. We spoke to a couple of defenders, and they all, to a man, said, listen, we feel rejuvenated. They spent the entire week in preparation for this game here in the Phoenix area, and to a man, they said it was good for the team. It rejuvenated them, gave them re-energized them, and they wanted to come out here today with a new attitude.
2nd and 7. Cobb under pressure, and he's going to be sacked again. Mario Williams. 2nd sack of the game.
Well, this is how the game began as well. The Bills coming out in the first quarter and jumping all over Kevin Cobb, and they begin the second half the same way. You see Marcel Darius forcing Cobb up, with Mario Williams doing the up and under, catching him as he does step up. Cobb has nowhere to run to. One of the things that happened in the second half is the Cardinals got their feet under them offensively. Was Cobb being able to avoid that rush and find a receiver.
So 3rd and 11 for Arizona. Cobb with time out into the flat, and Doucette is dropped immediately.
Well, there was no missed tackle on that series.
Brian Scott, who comes in, Steve, at linebacker in the nickel packages.
Yeah, he's a converted safety. There's a good hard tackle. That's one of the things about, as we said in the first half, this Bills defense has struggled some. They've had some mistakes in their secondary and in their front 7, but also they've missed a lot of tackles. And anytime a defense struggles in the way that the Bills have struggled in the last 2 weeks, that's the first thing you look at.
Zastudil, who's having another outstanding season, punts it away to Kelvin. Out to the 30. And there's a marker down. If it stands, a 53-yard punt and a 10-yard return.
And the Bills offense already walking down inside their 10-yard line.
During their return, illegal block in the back by the receiving team, number 23. Half the distance of the goal, first down.
Aaron Williams called for the infraction. Let's take a look at what the Buffalo defense has done in terms of pressure. There was the safety by Kelsey.
The sacks. As Cobb, you see here, he has nowhere to throw that football on that second sack. Stepped up looking for guys, keeping his eyes down the field. It's just not enough.
Are these coverage sacks, or is Cobb holding the ball too long, or is it the blocking? Fitzpatrick falls down, gets up, and then dives forward out to the 12. That was an eventful play.
That would have been a coverage sack had he not gotten up. As you see, he had nowhere to go. He's trying to go to his right, looks again, then comes back to left, and there's nobody to his left. And then all bets are off. When a quarterback goes down, he's looking for cover right there. As you see, he just loses his footing.
Ended up making a couple of yards out of it, so 2nd and 8. First possession for the Bills here in the second half. Jackson in the backfield. Fitzpatrick slings it out to Stevie Johnson, who makes a nifty move, and out to the 28.
He spun out of the tackle by Patrick Peterson. A lot like you see Peterson spin out of tackles on punt returns. Just a quick hitch. Peterson comes up and just misses on the tackle and gives an extra 7 or 8 yards to Stevie Johnson on the reception.
16 yards and first down for Buffalo.
Missed tackles work both ways on both defenses. And when they're playing well, they do it. And when they're not playing well, they miss tackles.
The Wildcat, Brad Smith, takes the snap, hands it off to Spiller. Spiller pushed out of bounds at the 35. Adrian Wilson drove him out. That'll bring up 2nd and 3.
With Spiller coming so fast, Brad Smith really has almost no time to make that decision. He gives it to Spiller with a full head of steam. The Cardinals do a great job of stringing it out, holding it to just a 6-yard gain. But that's the kind of play that Wildcat can give you, just overmatched. And if Brad Smith makes a different decision, the Cardinals have to be ready for that as well.
Dead even in total yards. They have a lot of playmakers on this Buffalo offense, and the mad scientist in Gailey to pull it off. They fake the reverse. Jackson, another first down for Buffalo.
I think one thing that has helped this Buffalo Bill offense over the course of Chan Gailey's tenure as head coach is his ability to call plays. He's one of the few head coaches, not a lot of them do, but some of them do call their plays, and he has a gift for it. He's unpredictable, he stays away from tendencies, and he has that ability to find plays and formations to give his playmakers a chance in space.
47 total yards from scrimmage for Jackson. First down, again they give it to him. No running room, and he's swarming Arizona defense. Kerry Rhodes was the first one there. No running room for Jackson.
Arizona is just so fast at every position. Their linebackers can really run. Darrell Washington was the fastest linebacker coming out in the draft the year he was drafted. Patrick Peterson, Paris Lennon, the entire linebacking core and those defensive linemen can all run extremely well.
Talented, fast, and physical front seven. Tashard Choice has checked in now for Buffalo. They come on the blitz. Fitzpatrick gets rid of it. Underthrows Stevie Johnson, and it may have been tipped.
That might have been tipped by Vonnie Holiday as Fitzpatrick released it. And that was a big pressure package by the Cardinals. They bring a lot of people at Fitzpatrick. He pulls it down. Let's go. It might have been Lennon who caught it as it came out of his hand, but this ball didn't get out of his hand cleanly at all.
3rd and long. They spread him out. Empty backfield. They have to go to the Arizona 46 for a first down. Fitzpatrick avoids the first pressure, incomplete at the feet of Chandler, the tight end.
Well, he had a chance to complete it, but because of the pressure, he hurried the throw and threw it right in the dirt. Once again, one of the things that happens when Fitzpatrick feels pressure, sometimes his passes become more and more inaccurate. We saw it in the first half. Right there, you see Chandler right there. If he sticks it right in his stomach, Chandler's past the first down markers. But he has no shot at catching that one.
And a whistle and flag before the snap. Preliminary signal, false start.
False start, number 55, offense. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Kelvin Shepard. Fitzpatrick and Gailey talking things over on the Buffalo sideline.
As we said, Chan Gailey told us one of the keys to this game is which 21 would play better. Right now the Bills forced to kick it to Patrick Peterson, number 21.
Fisher's trying to sort things out, and they will move the ball back to the 39.
The officials must have thought Ken Wisenhunt was going to decline that 5 yards. No such luck.
Powell came in, averaging 45 yards a punt, the rookie free agent out of Florida State. Peterson retreats to the 6. And slammed down hard near the 25-yard line. A 55-yard punt An 18-yard return by Peterson. 9.5 minutes left to go in the third. Second possession of the second half for the Arizona Cardinals. They'll start 1st and 10 from their own 26. High formation, Powell the deep back. Powell. Nice hole over left tackle. George Wilson, the safety, made the stop. The pickup of 7.
As you saw from that graphic a moment ago, the Cardinals doing a much better job at staying balanced, both run and pass. William Powell helping with that. He's broken a couple of tackles and made good plays out of bad plays with his ability to do that. It's something the Cardinals have got to stick with.
Now 8 carries for 42 yards. He gets another chance. First down, Arizona. Gain of 6, and Powell starting to find a rhythm.
And that's all too rare for Arizona. 2 straight runs and a first down. And that speaks well for their ability to make some adjustments at halftime. Kyle Williams gets some penetration, can't make the tackle. The Bills rally to do that after the first down is reached.
Coming in today, Arizona's 3 healthy running backs. Stevens, Howling, Powell, and Smith came in with a combined 10 yards on 15 carries. Powell slips, trying to make the cut.
And the Cardinals doing a nice job setting the edge with a tight end King pushing Kelsey off the ball or to the inside. That gives Powell a chance to sprint to the edge and find a gap for a couple of yards gain. They've gone to that play time and time again because the Bills play their right defensive end just a little tight when a tight end and a wingback is to his side.
Rudy Wells, who's on injured reserve, a new category. He can return, though, the end of November. Cobb being chased, gets rid of it to Hausler, and he's close to a first down, about a yard short. Greta made the tackle.
Yeah, Hausler really hangs in on this route. He's going to come off the ball and just stay patient and make himself available. He looks, takes a look ahead of him, makes sure the way is clear. You saw him look ahead of himself across the sideline before he continued to look back at Cobb because he wanted to make sure it wasn't zone coverage and somebody was waiting on him over there. He saw it was man coverage and kept running, and Cobb found him.
3rd and 1. Powell has the first down at midfield. The rookie Gilmore made the tackle.
The Bills last week in San Francisco, first team in NFL history to give up 300 yards rushing and 300 yards passing in one game. As Mario Williams stands on the sideline taking a breather. See that left wrist wrapped, still bothering him.
Powell with running room. Hurdles his way down inside the 45 to the 44. A pickup of 6.
Watch it, William Powell, and we said in the first half, the Arizona Cardinals were really anxious to see if he could continue his success that he enjoyed in the preseason when he was good enough to make this club. And of course, here today, doing some good things, breaking tackles and running like a guy who's getting an opportunity he's wanted for a long time.
We talked to Ken Wisenhunt about Powell. He said this is a guy who can do some things. Toss it back, the flea flicker. Cobb avoids the pressure, buys some time, takes off and out of bounds.
Now the Bills secondary played this perfectly. They had no doubt that this was going to be a pass. They did not even look in the backfield. Even though the ball goes to Stevens Howling, the secondary turns and runs with the receivers. Cobb is flush to the side where no receivers are. Robert Scott, now you can't see the safety who's back in this area. You see there, that scared Cobb off the throw, the presence of the safety behind Roberts. Plus he was flushed to the opposite side of the field and couldn't make the throw back across.
So after the scamper, it's 3rd and 4 from the Buffalo 44. Cobb, Fitzgerald, first down Arizona. Brian Scott made the tackle after a gain of 8.
Well, it's so effective. To have Larry Fitzgerald, a guy who's a big play receiver, come out underneath in a cluster, have everybody run deep, and he hooks up. It's a great way to get a great receiver the football with an easy throw and catch for a first down.
Just inside the 36. Stevens howling. And a marker is down at the 35.
It's going to be a hold.
Holding number 84, offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Call it on Hausler, the tight end. So that'll negate the gain and push him back 5.
And those are the things that really make really stall drives. Working against Mario Williams, getting double teamed by both tight ends, and he tries to come out, and Hausler's got him outside his shoulder. Williams said it's one of those things, his wrist is really bothering because he can't do the things he normally does.
Cardinals, of course, lose 10 yards on the penalty, so 1st and 20. Cobb buys some time, takes off, and that was a nice individual play by the quarterback.
Well, this is one time when the defensive line of the Bills loses their discipline and allows Cobb. Kelsey's going to take an inside rush right here. He goes and lets Cobb get around him. He's got to keep him contained and make Cobb step up into the pocket. When he takes a hard push inside by pushing the tackle back, it lets Cobb get around him, and then leads to the good gain.
15 yards on the run by Cobb, so a very manageable 2nd and 5. Cobb again pressured, keeps his feet, throws it away.
Well, the Bills finally managing to get some more pressure on Cobb, and that's one of the things that the running game has taken away from Buffalo at this early part of the third quarter. Cobb just doing his best to extend that play, and down the field, Larry Fitzgerald, I said that the Bills doing their best to keep track of him. Larry wants an alley-oop. He knows the safety's coming over. That's a great receiver. He knows he's got a shot. Just give him a chance. That's all he asks for. He doesn't care who's guarding him.
Fitzgerald 3 catches for 34 yards. 3rd and 5. Incomplete. Roberts could not bring it in.
That's an enormous drop. Roberts had a big play. If the ball was thrown well out in front of him and he pulls it, that's a big play. Either way, Roberts, to catch this, it's going to be a first down and up the sidelines. That is enormous. Now, this is the reason the throw wasn't everything it should have been. But that's a big miss by the Cardinals.
Another 49-yard attempt, and again it's good. Jay Feely has had a tremendous season, and that extends the Arizona lead 13-9.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The new Droid Razor M by Motorola. Say hello to the full-screen phone. And by Allstate. Enter the 60 Seconds of Mayhem sweepstakes at allstatecfb.com.
4-point Arizona lead after the second 49-yard field goal by Jay Feely, who's now made 10 of 11 this season. 13-9 Cardinals. Kelvin and Smith back deep for Buffalo. McKelvin takes a knee, 9 yards deep. Fitzpatrick back to work when we return. 3:12 left to go in the third. There were high hopes for the Bills this season. Expectations for their first winning record since '04, perhaps their first appearance in the postseason since 1999. Clearly a crossroads game for Buffalo as they try to come back down 13-9. Just over 3 minutes left in the third. Fitzpatrick, the slant. Johnson. Stevie Johnson. Thrown out of bounds by Darrell Washington after a big gain. 24 yards on the catch.
Stevie Johnson, the outside, or on the inside, working there, inside against William Gay. Just a quick double slant. Fitzpatrick getting rid of the football quickly to put the defense on its heels, trying to get something going here in the second half offensively. Trying to get the ball to their playmakers once again.
One of the biggest plays of the game for this Buffalo offense. Spiller on the delay. Fights his way into Arizona territory. Washington made the stop, a gain of 7. Get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL. That's 635 to download NFL Mobile or go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more. They spot it right at midfield. 2nd and 3 for Buffalo, down by 4. Spiller, the deep back. They give it to him, a nice move, and in space. An explosive run by Spiller. Kerry Rhodes finally brought him down. 33 yards.
Well, C.J. Spiller does some things before he breaks the line of scrimmage that just make this impossible. Look at that great jump cut right there. Makes 2 guys completely whiff. Adrian Wilson had a bead on him, and he got no chance to even touch Spiller after the jump cut. What an amazing job before he even broke contain.
And they run the Wildcat now. Brad Smith is checked in to get the snap, and he keeps it. Trying to get to the outside and finds a seam. Down to the 1. Washington and Peterson combined to make the stop.
Well, I said early on that Brad Smith has been really good in this Wildcat. In his career in Buffalo, he has been. He's been a great guy to get a 3rd down, turn it into a 1st down. He's got a great nose for getting every yard coming to him with his ball, with the ball in his hands. Plus, he throws the football much better than people realize. They don't ask him to do it very much, but if it comes up, he can.
The Arizona defense is reeling. 1st and goal. Jackson.
That looked like a touchdown from here. Yeah,
there's the signal finally.
That was an impressive drive by Buffalo, keyed by a couple of runs by C.J. Spiller and a quick slant by Stevie Johnson. And I think you could tell as well when you watch that whole drive, the tempo was much quicker than it was in the second quarter and throughout the first half.
Taking a moment to review the scoring play. Touchdown is confirmed. Mandel on to try the extra point. And another lead change. Now it's Buffalo up by 3. Spiller and the Bills offense impressive on that drive.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you gotta get DirecTV. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more.
A resilient Buffalo offense. 5 plays on that drive. They go 80 yards. Fred Jackson with the 1-yard touchdown run. His first rushing touchdown of the season. Remember, he missed a couple of games with a knee injury. So the Bills back on top. From a yard deep, Powell. Now to the 16. So Fred Jackson caps the drive. the Bills lead by 3. 16-13 Buffalo as we near the end of the third quarter.
They might have to wear these uniforms every week.
That's right.
Boy, that's a big change back to the 1984 look.
Play action. Cobb steps up. Has some room. And a scamper to the 34. Grata made the stop after a gain of 18 on the scramble by Kevin Cobb. So that will take us to the end of the third quarter, and we'll return to Glendale, Arizona after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. A positive third quarter for the Buffalo defense, but over the last 2 games, 52 fourth quarter points allowed. That's the most in a 2-game span in NFL history in any quarter since 1940. So trying to keep it going. They lead by 3, 16-13. We start the final quarter. Stevens howling. With a first down. 52 points allowed, as we just said. It has been a tough couple of weeks for this Buffalo defense, thought to be a strength of the team coming into the season.
And you saw once again just there, a missed tackle led to a first down for the Cardinals.
Here they come with a blitz. Stevens howling, nowhere to run. And now let's check in with JB and Dan Marino for an update from New York here in Week 6.
A 66-yard kickoff return by David Wilson of the Giants sets this up.
Ahmad Bradshaw goes over, just gets in, 1-yard touchdown. Giants add a field goal, they're up 20-3.
The multi-talented Bill McAtee, Steve Tasker.
Thank you, men. The 49ers came into Week 6 at 4-1, tied with Arizona for the lead in the NFC West, where every team was above 500 coming into today. Play action for Cobb. On the move again. And these scrambles have been a big part of the Arizona offense today. Another first down. 12 yards on the run by Cobb.
Yeah, that's an enormous play by Cobb. There's good coverage in the secondary, and this is what the Buffalo Bills defensive front four have got to keep from doing. As you see, Cobb just outruns everybody to the sideline. You don't have a guy spying Kevin Cobb, and for that reason, Cobb, and with Larry Fitzgerald in the secondary for the Cardinals, Cobb is all by himself once he turns the corner.
45 yards, 3 scrambles for Cobb. Again, the play action on first down. Out into the flat. Maria, tough to bring down. Re-signed by Arizona prior to the Miami game in Week 4, and we have a marker down on the field. And Wisenhunt is hot.
Who do you think that's on? I think that's on Maui. What Maui did was get up and he threw the football in the face of a defender.
After the play was over, delay a game, number 45 in the offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
You think there's a clear message in what Wisenhunt's saying?
I can read between the lines. Not pleased. He's a big man.
He has a great job staying up. Now watch. Here's the penalty, right there, spiking the football.
So 2nd and 8. Stevens howling in the backfield, and a whistle before the snap.
That's a false start on Batiste.
False start, number 87 offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Actually called that on the tight end, Jeff King.
Wisenhunt taking a deep breath, trying to gather himself. You can tell he's got a slow burn going right now after 2 ridiculous penalties on the Cardinals. Backs them up. What should have been a 2nd and 2 is now a 2nd and 12.
Cobb. Barnett with the sack.
And that time, Cobb couldn't run. The Bills' defensive line did a nice job of keeping in their lanes and making sure that he didn't get a chance to get outside the pocket. You see there, Darius coming around from behind, but also Carrington sliding over from his tackle position when Cobb steps up to make sure Cobb knows he's going to be run down if he tries to escape.
5th sack of the game for the Buffalo defense. Alfonso Smith was in the backfield. Cobb again under pressure. Slings it out to Fitzgerald, and it was too hot. He couldn't handle it.
Probably wouldn't have been a first down anyway. But Cobb doing his best once again. As you'll see the pressure coming from the 4 front defenders, Cobb's going to have to get out of the pocket as the pressure's right there right away as Moore goes around the corner. Barnett leaves Fitzgerald to come up and force the throw. It results in the incompletion.
So 4th and 16, and what was a promising drive turned into a mess. Zascadil, high punt, and it takes an Arizona bounce all the way down inside the 5, and they'll down it close to the 3. A 46-yard punt. Nice stand by the Buffalo defense. Of CBS Sports.
It's an enormously important drive for the Buffalo Bills offense. Their defense has risen up at a point of the season where they've struggled. They've got to get a few first downs and change field position at the very least on this drive.
Pinned back near their goal line. TJ Graham, the rookie, who's been quiet today. 3rd round pick out of North Carolina State. Fleming made the stop.
We've talked so much about how things have gone south for the Bills in the second half of the last few games. One reason is when it gets as bad as it was, it's not just your defense, it's not just your pass rush, it's everything. Your offense can't stay on the field, your defense can't get turnovers, and your offense turns it over once in a while. This is an opportunity for the Bills offense to play complementary football and give their defense a break.
16-13 Buffalo, 2nd and 4. Jackson powers his way across the 10 to the 12.
This crowd starting to get into it, but this is a hard, powerful run by Jackson, a good-sized back. He shakes off Adrian Wilson, then spins out of the tackle by Paris Lennon to get close to the first down. But this 3rd and short is the most crucial 3rd down of the game.
That was a big-time collision with the 5-time Pro Bowl safety. 3rd and 1. Spiller is in the backfield with Fitzpatrick. Spiller.
Very close.
Looks like that second effort got it. Calais Campbell made the stop. It all depends on the spot. And they'll measure.
And we saw one challenge in the first half from the Buffalo Bills on a spot of this nature. How close does he get? He's got to get to that 13-yard line, and there it looks like he's over it. It looks like he may be enough. And it is.
By the nose of the football.
That is hugely important at this point of the game.
And
Buffalo Bills defense has risen up here in the second half at a point when the offense has gotten the lead. And this is a point where the momentum, for the first time in a month, could swing for Buffalo in the second half of a football game.
As we heard from the Bills fans in the house. Spiller stays in the game. 1st and 10 for Buffalo. 9.5 minutes to play. Johnson. Big play to Stevie Johnson against Patrick Peterson. That was good for 18 yards.
Stevie Johnson comes out and watches. He tries, looks at the post, gives him the big push-off, gets away with it. That is a hard push and swim by Stevie Johnson that was not called, and Fitzpatrick standing tall in the pocket and delivering that. Great play on both ends, but I think Stevie Johnson got away with one at the top of that route.
Fitzpatrick told us that the Bills want Johnson one-on-one on Peterson. They think it's a matchup they can exploit. It worked there. First down. Great penetration by the Arizona front, led by Calais Campbell.
Oh, Calais Campbell gets right by Chris Hairston.
Extra pushing and shoving, and a flag is down.
This looks, Cardinals think this is going against the Bills.
Clock stops with 8:37 left to play in regulation.
This was after the play, it seemed.
Riverana, referee. Officials taking their time to sort through this, and now,
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 85 on the offense. Second down.
they call that on Lee Smith, the second-year tight end.
And so much for the momentum the Bills' offense was gathering. Brings up a second down. 25, 26.
So they have to get it all the way to the 41 for a first down. Second and 27. Smith trying to apologize to Chan Gailey on the sideline. I don't think Chan wants to hear it right now.
Chan Gailey, a little bit different demeanor than Wisenhunt.
They rush three underneath the Spiller. Makes a nice move and really makes something out of nothing. Steps out of bounds, though, at the 19-yard line, a gain of 6.
And that brings up a 3rd and 21. And that's a mistake that you just can't make. Lee Smith, somebody got under his skin and he gave him something extra after the play was over, and you just can't do that in a tight football game.
3rd and a ton. Spiller in the backfield with Fitzpatrick. They come on the blitz. They set up the screen to Spiller. He's got some room.
He pulled up lane.
Steps out of bounds, well short of the first down.
It looked like he almost pulled up lame. It looked like that play had a chance when it cut loose, and he kind of ran out of bounds like he didn't want to try it. When he catches this football from Fitzpatrick, you think, man, this may get it. As he turns up the field, watch right here. It looked as though, well, he just didn't have it.
So Buffalo will have to punt on 4th and 10. Angled toward the sideline. They don't want to give Peterson a chance. An effective punt. Cardinals will take over with 7:15 left to go in the 4th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Get to a better state with a discount double check. Outback Steakhouse. It's always fresh in the Outback. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
(16-13) Buffalo coming up, time permitting, after the game, the Subway postgame show. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights from Week 6. That's all coming up on the Subway postgame show. 7:15 left in regulation. Cardinals down by 3. 1st and 10 from the Arizona 30. Powell in the backfield. Play action. Cobb, lots of time. Finally, Andre Roberts with a catch. Good for 16 yards. George Wilson made the stop.
And that was a lot of time for Kevin Cobb in the pocket. Watch as he comes out. He's going to run like a deep route and then just stop. He runs like 3 different directions and then runs a button hook deep in the secondary. You can't do that when your You can do that when your quarterback has plenty of time in the pocket, and that's the first time today Cobb has.
In his 3rd year out of the Citadel, 3rd-round pick in 2010. Powell, first down with some running room. Wilson again on the stop. That was good for 12 yards. And Powell now 13 carries for 70.
Right here, outflanked by the tight end. Once again, that defensive end plays tight against the tight end, comes in, and there's just nobody outside of him for contain. Chris Kelsey getting pinned in by the wingback on the tight end of the tackle, and it just leaves too much space for the running back.
First down for Arizona in Buffalo territory. Cobb, again with time. Intercepted! Threw it into traffic, and Jarris Byrd has the pick. And that halts the Arizona momentum. The Bills will take over, leading by 3. Over the last 2 games, the Bills had allowed 73 points in the second half. Only 3 so far in the second half today, and they take over after the turnover at their own 41. Fitzpatrick changing the play, the Cardinals showing blitz, and here they come. Fitzpatrick to Johnson, incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Fitzpatrick changing the play at the line of scrimmage when he saw the 2 blitzers coming right up the middle. Knew he had man-to-man coverage on the outside, but if you look back at the interception, Jarris Byrd, here's King, and watch Kevin Cobb's eyes. He's going to look at his tight end, Jeff King, the whole way, and Jarris Byrd just follows his eyes across the field to make the interception.
Cardinals have driven across midfield into Buffalo territory. On their last 3 drives, come away with just 3 points. The screen to Jackson. Up the sideline and out of bounds. Into Arizona territory and a first down.
Kerry Rhodes is down on the ground.
Back at the 36.
This is a screen pass set up, cluster to the top of the screen. The defense's attention is there. Freddie Jackson sneaks out the backside. Great block by Levitri, the guard.
So there's an injury timeout on the field. 5:41 left to go in regulation.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Subway Restaurants. Try the new Tuscan Chicken Melt today. And by NFL Mobile from Verizon. Built to bring you the game.
They do not. It's Rashad.
Kerry Rhodes being attended to on the sideline. He's made some big plays for the Cardinals this season. Especially when Adrian Wilson went down, he stepped in and became a leader of this defense. On the sideline now, Jackson on first down inside the 40. A gain of 7. Harris Lennon made the stop, and let's see, because it appeared the injury occurred prior to contact.
Yeah, and it looked like the block by Levitri is what hurt Rhodes, but if you watch him, he starts to grab his low back right there. You see he's in, and then he kind of turns away and shies away from the block like it caught him off guard. That's not the way he would take that cut block on if he felt 100%. And you saw him grab back at his low back. Something happened before that block that hurt him.
Rhodes on his way to the locker room. 2nd and 3. Jackson, nice hole right side. Close to a first down. Once again, let's check in with JB and Dan Marino in New York for an update.
Redskins getting it done defensively as well.
And Christian Palmer, he overthrows his receiver. Mabule Williams comes up with the interception and a great return. Cuts back across the field, goes 24 yards for a touchdown. Washington up 31-12.
RG3 inspiring play all over the field. Bill McAtee, Steve Tasker.
All right, guys, thank you. The Redskins trying to get to 500, as are the Buffalo Bills as they measure.
And Rashad Johnson in for Kerry Rhodes. As the Bills get that first down. It'll be interesting to see if Buffalo tries to isolate him on one of their playmakers, with Kerry Rhodes out of the ballgame.
So first down for Buffalo. Clock moving. 4:20 left to go in the fourth.
And now Rashad Johnson's out of the game as the Cardinals send in Jamel Fleming, the nickelback.
First and 10.
Hey, alert man!
Arizona showing blitz.
Alert man! Tag, alert man!
Keep it on the ground. Jackson. Tough running inside. Arizona's working on the second longest home winning streak in franchise history. They won their last 7 here at University of Phoenix Stadium. The franchise record is 9, set all the way back in 1925 when they were the Chicago Cardinals, a streak that ended when they lost, Steve, to your favorite team, the Pottsville Maroons, 7-2, but bounced right back, won the following week against the Milwaukee Badgers, and they finished 1925 as NFL champions.
I am so glad you got that in.
Brad Smith, the Wildcat. He's going to throw it. Going deep. Intercepted. Patrick Peterson. An ill-advised pass. And the Cardinals have the football.
I mentioned earlier in the second half that Brad Smith played quarterback in college, and he could throw the football, decides not to give it to C.J. Spiller, tries to find Donald Jones down the numbers and right into the arms of Patrick Peterson, who comes off Stevie Johnson to make the interception.
So a huge change in momentum with the Bills driving and the Cardinals on their heels. Arizona takes over with a chance. First and 10 from their own 15 and 3:07 left to go in the fourth. Cobb from the gun. Has time. Fitzgerald, of course. First down, Arizona. To the 29, a gain of 15.
You wonder why the Buffalo Bills would throw it deep when they had 3 minutes to go in the football game. Up by merely 3 points with a chance to run the clock out if they can make some first downs, force the Arizona Cardinals to use all their timeouts, and it backfired.
And with that catch, Larry Fitzgerald joins Randy Moss as the only players to reach 10,000 yards in their career before their 30th birthday. First down for the Cardinals. Clock running. Cobb. A flag is down on the other side of the field, and Cobb throws it away.
This is going to be a hold.
Holding number 74 offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Batiste, the left tackle.
Puts the Cardinals inside their 20-yard line. And now the Buffalo Bills front four with Mario Williams, Kyle Williams, Chris Kelsey, and also Moore on the far side. Kyle Moore doing some stunts up inside to try and confuse that offensive line.
2:35 left in regulation. Cobb, running room. Cobb. A first down across the 40. 22 yards on the scramble.
And Kevin Cobb has picked his spot superbly to run the football. He did not hesitate at all.
Under pressure again and gets back to the line of scrimmage.
And that might have hurt Cobb. He's hurt.
Kevin Cobb slow getting up as we have reached the 2-minute warning here in Arizona. Kevin Cobb being helped up. They have put 5 seconds back on the clock, so we have not reached the 2-minute warning yet. Ominous sight. They bring the card out.
Well, he's not going to continue, but that means John Skelton, who started the season as the #1 starter for the Cardinals, is back active only for the first time today.
Nice ovation, and also from the Bills. Cobb has been tenacious, making plays with his feet, and that time it cost him.
Well, you'll see is Carrington and Kelsey, and he doesn't get any protection as a quarterback when he's outside the pocket and goes down head first. So this is not a roughing the passer or personal foul by either of those players. It's a good tackle by the both of them. And Cobb, he came in and spoke to us on Friday. We kind of chuckled that he really showed toughness last week in the last 2 games, getting sacked 17 times. And the problem is when you're the toughest guy in the league, you got to prove it week in and week out. And he took a really, really difficult shot there.
Skelton won the starting job out of camp, then got hurt in the 4th quarter against Seattle. And it was Cobb who came in and led the Cardinals on an 80-yard touchdown drive to win the game. And now the roles reversed. Skelton. Underhanded. And let's see how they rule this. Incomplete. He was pounded by Kyle Williams.
That's another interesting fact. Cobb can run. John Skelton cannot. He is not a good runner, not as good an athlete outside the pocket.
Number 36 was in the area. It's an incomplete pass. We now have the 2-minute warning.
You look back at the kind of day that Kevin Cobb has had, or this is Skelton right then, and looked as though that was a heads-up play by him to get rid of that football up the hash mark. And by design or by luck, Stevens Howling was in the area, which is why it wasn't intentional grounding.
Cobb heading to the locker room, walking gingerly. So timeout on the field for the 2-minute warning, and let's check in with JB and Dan Marino for an update in New York.
Take a look at this. Seattle hanging tough.
Yes, 5 plays, 83 yards. Russell Wilson to Braylon Edwards, a 10-yard touchdown, 23-17 Pats.
4:55 and counting left in regulation there in Seattle. Bill and Steve.
All right, guys, thank you. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, the Subway postgame show. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Subway postgame show.
Well, one of the things about this game is you prepare for it, you watch and look at the Cardinals and how they win games. They've been in a number of overtime and close football games. They've won their last 5 overtime games. Here 2 weeks ago against Miami in overtime, tied it on the final play from scrimmage in regulation, and went on to win in overtime. This is a club that is used to being in a tight game late.
Feely with a career long, actually he's done it 4 times, 55 yards. 2 field goals of 49 yards today.
And this is a tough spot. You think there, 8 comeback wins in the 4th quarter since during last season and this season. That's the most in the National Football League. This is a mentally tough team. A team a lot like Chan Gailey has called for his team to become more like. But it's hard to imagine a tougher spot for John Skelton to be placed in than a 3rd and 11 in the 4th quarter with the game on the line.
1:58 left in regulation to set in motion. They rush 4. Skelton Gets rid of it, incomplete. Set the intended receiver. That'll bring up 4th down.
And this is 4-down territory. I mean, they have to go for this. They've got 3 timeouts, but even so, you need your offense on the football field. The Buffalo Bills have had a good second half offensively. You think that if they get 1 first down, even with 3 timeouts, it's going to be difficult to get the football away from them.
Fourth and 11. Skelton. First down, Fitzgerald into Buffalo territory.
Tremendous throw by Skelton. Wow, Larry Fitzgerald plucked it. They'll go hurry up. That is a phenomenal throw and catch at a critical moment.
17 yards on 4th and 11.
That was well defended even, and they still fit it in there.
Inside of a minute and a half remaining in regulation. Incomplete. That time threw it behind Fitzgerald.
This is why John Skelton was named the starter after camp. It was a very close competition, just out in front of Brian Scott. Scott was all over Fitzgerald, puts it right where he had to, and Fitzgerald, being as good as he is, and we've seen it a million times, he just plucks it. If he gets 2 hands on it, the ball is caught.
2nd and 10. Incomplete. Off the pads of Doucette. McKelvin had the coverage.
McKelvin doing a nice job with his offhand right at the bottom of your screen. He puts his right hand on the waist, but does not turn the receiver, doesn't get any advantage from it. That's allowed to place your hand on the back, but you're not allowed to grab and pull to keep him from making the catch. That was well played by McKelvin, and another great throw by Skelton that ended up in the incompletion.
3rd and 10. Fitzgerald at the bottom of the screen. Skelton loads. Hit as he released the football, incomplete. Kyle Moore had the pressure in his 4th year out of USC.
They didn't need to get a first down to get into field goal range here, but now they've got to get a first down to continue the game. Oh, and now they're going to send Feely out. This will be a 61-yard attempt.
On 4th and 10. He will kick it from Arizona territory, and now Buffalo will take a timeout.
And rightfully so. You want to make sure you've got everything exactly as you want it.
Well, his career-long 55 yards, he's done it 4 times, most recently in December of 2010 against the Broncos, right here at University of Phoenix Stadium in a game that Arizona won 43-13.
Well, this is amazing to give it a shot like this. I applaud it. I think Ken Wisenhunt thinks he can get it. There's no question. He asked him if he wanted to try it, and your kicker is always going to say yes. And don't think Jay Feely doesn't think he can make it. Now, if he doesn't think he can make it, they may try a fake field goal to get a first down, but I think they're going to go for this.
9 game-winning field goals in regulation or overtime, and he boots it on its way. Got it!
Absolutely fantastic kick. They get a good push inside. He drives it right over the center bar. That could not have been better, and that would have been good for an NFL record had he had to back up 3 yards.
And he knew it right away. 61 yards.
And I'll tell you, the NFL changed rules a few years ago. Those balls that he's kicking, they're hard as rock. That is a sensational, fantastic kick. I can't say enough about it. In a spot like that, to have a head coach put you in there and have faith to do it, that's why this club wins overtime games.
Beating his previous best by 6 yards.
His best was 55, beat it by 6, and that was 2 years ago, the last time he attempted one of that length, back in 2010.
All started with the interception that was thrown out of the Wildcat by Smith.
12 years in the league out of Michigan, and he can still get it done.
I think he's got a little adrenaline going and hits the crossbar.
The Bills wish he'd have hit the crossbar a second ago instead of on the kickoff.
For those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS, the game between Buffalo and Arizona. Bill McAtee along with Steve Tasker. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following this game, except for those of you on the West Coast. Tied at 16. Career long for Ryan Lindell, 56 yards. And that was back in 2009 against Miami. Let's see if the Bills can answer. It is electric here in Arizona.
This stadium has become accustomed to tight games just like this.
In the 8-game home winning streak, 5 have been won in overtime by the Cardinals. 1st and 10. Fitzpatrick sacked. O'Brien Schofield.
It was a 4-man rush. Nothing exotic about it. Schofield gets underneath Pierce, the right tackle, and throws him past Fitzpatrick and gets underneath. And right in the grill of Fitzpatrick, takes his helmet off no less. And Arizona takes the timeout because they want to force Buffalo to punt it to Patrick Peterson.
Their first timeout. Clock stops with 1:05 left to go in the 4th.
You think back to how this game got to this point. Buffalo driving inside of 4 minutes. They try to go for the knockout shot to the Cardinals, and Patrick Peterson picks off the Brad Smith pass.
2nd and 16 after the sack. Jackson. Calais Campbell made the stop, and again Arizona takes a timeout.
You think that the long-term tactics here with a minute left, no question Arizona wants to hold Buffalo right where they are at, because with a 40-yard net punt, you're still only looking at the 45-yard line of the Cardinals. That means 1 or 2 plays, they can be back inside field goal range and give Jay Feely an opportunity to win it in regulation.
Fitzpatrick has had a few game-winning drives himself. Jay Feely with field goals of 61 and 2 from 49 might get another chance. Cardinals with 1 timeout left, 1:01 to play in the 4th. Jackson. And they'll have to punt.
They'll have to punt, and how this game has turned on the kick by Feely, the interception by Patrick Peterson. Arizona with all 3 timeouts, using him to get the football back. And that guy an opportunity to catch this kick. And I'll tell you that you do not want to punt this football down the middle of the football field to Patrick Peterson. Now Jay Feely will tell him where to stand. Peterson just looks over. Jay Feely will say, listen, don't stand any deeper than this or no shallower than this. Peterson looks for Feely, so he doesn't have to do the math in his head. He doesn't have anything more to think about. He just wants to catch the football and go the distance.
Standing back at the Arizona 25. 4 returns for touchdowns, all at 80+. A short punt, shanked. He had been angling it toward the sideline, but that one just got away from him. And this is a huge opportunity for the Cardinals.
Well, Patrick Peterson affected that play, didn't even catch the football. They did not want any part of giving him an opportunity to return this for a touchdown. And as a result, Sean Powell hits a poor punt sideways out of bounds.
Just 30
just
yards.
Past midfield.
And they'll spot it at the Arizona 47. We had to move our target line. Now it's the 43. 50 seconds left. Cardinals are out of timeouts. Empty backfield. Skelton, who's in for Cobb. Incomplete.
Flag.
And Michael Floyd was held.
Stephon Gilmore on the intercept holding.
Rookie on rookie.
Before this play began, they were 9 yards away from where Jay Feely just kicked his game-time field goal.
Holding number 27. Defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Now they're 4 yards away from where Feely just made that. Oh, he got right at the end. He grabbed him with his right hand and wouldn't let Floyd pivot back out.
46 seconds left in the fourth. Again, empty backfield. 5 receivers in the pattern. Over the middle of the field, Larry Fitzgerald. A perfect strike from Skelton, 28 yards.
That looked like a blown coverage to me. At the most crucial point in the game, they let Larry Fitzgerald run by himself on a slant route.
Skelton trying to take time off the clock.
They'll snap it with a few seconds left.
Wow.
Terrence McGee breaks off in zone coverage. Everybody else is in man coverage. That's a mental mistake in the secondary. Terrence McGee has zone coverage, but everybody else in the back end is playing man-to-man. Larry Fitzgerald runs free and sets up this field goal. You can bet that Chan Gaylor will call a timeout before this snap.
Jay Feely, who's already been a hero today, a chance to win it.
Missed it. Off the...
Can you believe
off
that?
the upright. Drilled it from 61 and blew it. Had no chance.
A knuckleball that hits the upright. Only the second missed field goal of the season for Feely. And the Cardinals can't believe it.
The Cardinals thought it went off the or hoping that it went off the upright and then still through, which would have counted. And Chan Gaylor, interestingly enough, did not call a timeout to ice Feely that time. He did on the 61, and Feely drilled it. He did not on the chip shot, and he blew it.
Well, we're getting used to this in Arizona. Overtime. Both teams must possess the ball once unless a touchdown or safety is scored on the first possession after the kickoff. 2 timeouts per team if the score is tied after each team's first possession. then it's the next score that wins it. No coaching challenges, only booth reviews.
Yeah, and it comes down to, you know, the opportunity to possess. So if one team scores and kicks off or whatever, or punts it away, the other team has an opportunity to catch the punt and does not. That counts as a possession. So it's critical that ball security is the key phrase in overtime.
Fourth quarter timing rules are in effect. You each have 2 timeouts. All replay reviews will come from upstairs. Each team will be guaranteed 1 possession, unless the first team scores a touchdown. Buffalo, you're the visiting team. What is your call?
Tails.
I'm sorry?
Tails.
He called tails. It is a tail. You want the ball. Buffalo will receive on this end.
So the Bills will have it to start the overtime period. A rare missed field goal that would have won it for Arizona, and on we go. Cardinals 5-0 in overtime, all of them here in Arizona, going back to last season. Larry Fitzgerald has made some big catches. 6 receptions for 93 yards and a touchdown today. The Bills will have it to start the overtime period. McKelvin Smith back deep. Wild end to regulation here in Arizona. McKelvin lets it bounce out of the end zone. Let's take a look back. The ill-advised throw out of the Wildcat by Smith. Peterson with the interception. And Cobb goes down, injured, had to leave the field. Skelton, pinpoint throw to Larry Fitzgerald. That led to the 61-yard field goal to tie the score. But then the 38-yard attempt, a knuckler that hits the uprights. And we are in overtime. From the 20. Fitzpatrick from the gun. Center of the field, incomplete. It was intended for Donald Jones. 2nd and 10.
You know, things that becomes difficult sometimes, particularly it'll be easier for the Cardinals now. They're experienced with this overtime, but so many times it's such a frantic pace at the end of a game to get it tied at overtime. Teams come out and still go into that panic mode early in overtime, but really the clock is no longer a factor. You can reset, take a deep breath, huddle up, take your time, and make sure you get all the calls right. No need to hurry.
Spiller in the backfield with Fitzpatrick. Stays in the block. Caught by Johnson on a knee out across the 25 to the 26.
Working against Fleming. Watch as he takes his time. The hard juke, then the plant, and the come back out. And that's why he's so difficult to cover. He makes so many patient and huge fakes that the defensive backs get panicked and think one of them is real.
82 yards for Johnson on 6 catches, 3rd and 4. Big play for the Bills. Here comes Arizona. Fitzpatrick gets rid of it. And there's a flag. Pass intended for Donald Jones.
He's being guarded by Sam Acho. And Acho was right in his face, leaning on him, and he wouldn't let him adjust to the football. Acho doesn't like it, but I think this is a good call.
Pass interference. Defense number 94. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
You talk about a favorable matchup. That's what you want if you're the Buffalo Bills. Donald Jones against Acho, the linebacker.
Yeah, Acho's coming up, and he just runs right at. You see the ball hits him right in the back, and Jones can't adjust to the ball because Acho is in the way.
And remember, you have to play the football. So after the penalty, 1st and 10 near midfield for Buffalo. Fitzpatrick. Incomplete. He wanted to run the screen to Spiller, but he was well covered. Went to him anyway, a little farther down the field. Once again, let's check in with JB and Dan Marino for an update from New York.
Look at what Seattle did.
And what a comeback. Young quarterback Russell Wilson. He rolls to his right, looking down the field. Sidney Rice, 46 yards, touchdown. Seattle, 24-23, wins the game.
Seahawks improved to 4-2. Patriots dropped to 3-3. Back to Bill and Steve.
All right, guys, Pete Carroll, Seahawks making a statement that they're for real. Overtime here in Arizona. Spiller. C.J. Spiller. And all the way down to the 35 before Rashad Johnson made the stop, a gain of 17.
And it's almost as though the Buffalo Bills found out about the New England Patriots getting beaten. They were one game out of the lead in the division coming into this game, having lost to the Patriots and the Jets. And with a win here in overtime, they could jump right back into the thick of their division race after just playing two of the worst games in the franchise's history in the last 2 weeks.
Opening possession of the overtime period. Bills are on the move at the Arizona 35. Fitzpatrick, they pick up the blitz. Incomplete. Just didn't have time. Wanted to go to T.J. Graham, the rookie, up the sideline.
Well, Adrian Wilson, he could feel his breath on the back of his neck as he comes around. Slight play fake, but Adrian Wilson had to throw it over the top of Wilson, who was standing right in front of it.
2nd and 10. Target line is the 38 for Ryan Lindell. His career long is 56, but that was 3 years ago against Miami. 2nd and 10 for Buffalo. Fitzpatrick, lots of time. Graham, incomplete.
Well, that's a young player trying to do something before he caught the ball as you look at Ryan Lindell.
His last attempt as he missed a 53-yard field goal. That was his last try from 50 plus. Happened in overtime at Kansas City. The Bills lost in OT 13-10 that day.
Now you're looking at a 53-yard attempt right now.
He's only tried 2 field goals all season. He's made them both. None of them longer than 40. 3rd and 10, empty backfield. Fitzpatrick, incomplete, short of Fred Jackson.
And that was just a bad throw. Freddie Jackson was open, could have gotten a first down if he caught it and turned up the field, and Ryan Fitzpatrick throws this in the dirt right there at the 30-yard line. That's a catch and turn up the field for a first down. That's a bad throw by Fitzpatrick. And the Bills are forced to punt instead of hitting the 53-yarder. They're going to try and pin the Cardinals back deep.
Powell.
False start.
Yeah, whistle before the
ball
snap.
being snapped. False start. Number 52 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Chan Gailey not going for the field goal, depending on a defense that's given up record numbers in the second half of games. That's a big statement about faith in your guys.
They move him back, and that's okay. Gives Powell a little more room. Again, angling it away from Peterson toward the sideline. Peterson has to let it bounce.
That's going to be a touchback.
And they were just into the end zone. So they'll bring it out to the 20.
Ravel Martin touched the football after having been in the end zone, and that's going to bring the ball out to the 20-yard. That's a 20-yard mistake. He's got it there, and there his foot's on the line. If your foot's on the line, the ball's on the line. He's got it there, but his left foot was in the end zone while he still had his hand on the football, and that's a good call by the official.
The ruling on the field is that the kicking team player's foot was touching the line, therefore it will be a touchback.
And there it is. So they'll bring that out to the 20.
And that is huge in overtime. Just a few inches away from pinning the Cardinals inside their 1 yard line or 2 yard line. Now they get it at 20 with a lot of breathing room and some momentum.
Kevin Cobb injured late in the fourth. John Skelton has come in to take over the Arizona offense, and they're looking at it upstairs, but clearly his foot on the line.
Both clubs coming in, both club special teams playing extremely well to this point. Leotis McKelvin returning punts, had a touchdown called back a week ago in San Francisco, and of course Patrick Peterson, one of the most electrifying punt returns in the game today.
Patrick on the sideline. Cardinals getting ready for their first possession here in the overtime period.
And from this point out, it's sudden death overtime. You score, you win.
5 of their last 11 wins have come in overtime.
You think about it, if the Cardinals could hang on to win this or kick a field goal or score to win this, 6 of their last 12 games have been overtime victories. 6 of their last 12 wins have been overtime wins. That's an amazing statistic. That's why Ken Wisenhunt and his staff and the players we spoke to, they all have faith that they can win games like this. They really have a belief that someone on their roster is going to make a play that gives them the opportunity to win. That guy right there, a 61-yard attempt, is a perfect example.
Ready for the call?
The ruling on the field is confirmed. The player is touching the goal line while he is touching the ball prior to gaining possession. Therefore, it is a touchback.
So Skelton will take over. Again, he won the job coming out of camp, hurt in the fourth quarter of the opener against Seattle. Kevin Cobb came on, led the Cardinals on an 80-yard touchdown drive, but now Cobb is injured, and Skelton is running the Arizona offense. On first down, Stevens howling. Kelsey made the stop.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch John Skelton in this overtime. He came in cold, led them down to the winning field goal attempt, and the tying field goal attempt as well. And this is a guy who's a pure passer. He's not like Kevin Cobb, we saw all through the game break, contain, and run the football. He is not a scrambler. And his offensive line is going to have to play a little bit better to protect a guy like Skelton.
Punch set, the lower part of your screen. Hausler in motion. Skelton trying to set up the screen, incomplete. Howling tried to turn before he had control of the football.
And they had a good play set up there as well. The only guy with an opportunity would have been Justin Rogers to pick this up. And this is well set up. It's a great way to take the starch out of that pass rush. Ball just a little low. Stevens howling a little bit, desperate to get up the field before he could catch it.
John Skelton, who actually grew up in the desert Southwest in El Paso, although he played his college football in the East at Fordham. 5th round pick in 2010. Skelton, lots of time, intercepted by Buffalo. Jarris Byrd. Jarris Byrd. All the way down to the 5.
And I think if I'm Chan Gailey, I send Ryan Lindell on the field right now. Jarris Byrd drops back into coverage and follows Skelton's eyes exactly the way he followed Cobb's eyes when he made his interception earlier. Skelton stared down the tight end just like Kevin Cobb did, and Jairus Byrd intercepted him just like he did Kevin Cobb. Both interceptions on the same type of play, trying to fit the football to the tight end on a crossing route, and both quarterbacks stared down the receiver.
So do you send Ryan Lindell out now, or do you run a few plays and try to get it into the end zone?
Well, you could ask Lindell if he has a preference about the hash mark that you'd like it on, but this is barely more than an extra point attempt. And they're talking it over as Ryan Fitzpatrick and Chan Gailey having a conversation on the sidelines. It
Both
appears
teams
as though
have now had the opportunity to possess the ball. Therefore, the next team to score will win the ball game.
You heard the announcement. That was true as soon as the Cardinals got the football. But the Bills are going to elect to try and run some plays. And if this ball gets in the air, it's a mistake.
Offset eye, Jackson the deep back, and they just try to center it. Well, Lindell has not missed a field goal inside the 30 since November 30th of 2008 against the 49ers. 20-yard attempt that hit the post. 13 game-winning field goals in the last 2 minutes or overtime. Trying to win it for Buffalo. It's good. 25 yards for Ryan Lindell.
An enormous bounce-back win for the Buffalo Bills after two of the worst weeks in franchise history. They come on the road to Arizona and win a hard-fought, tight ball game against a very good Arizona Cardinal team.
Set up on a 29-yard interception return by Jairus Byrd. Lindell with the field goal to snap a 2-game losing streak for Buffalo and an 8-game home winning streak for the Arizona Cardinals.
Jairus Byrd, after 2 interceptions and getting the 1 interception that gave the Bills the opportunity for that kick, you can tell how important this game is to a team that was on the ropes.
19-16 overtime Buffalo, and take a look now at the standings in the AFC East. Everyone is 3-3. And we'll have the Jets and New England here on CBS next week. Coming up next at 60 Minutes, followed by The Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and The Mentalist. So for Steve Tasker and our entire CBS Sports team, this is Bill McAtee saying so long from Glendale, Arizona. The Buffalo Bills win it 19-16. You've been watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47.